Deadpool with little baby limbs will never not be funny. Hey everybody, welcome to Mainely Movies. Today I'm going to be talking about the 2016 superhero comedy, Deadpool. If you're new here, please consider subscribing for a variety of movie-related content like reviews, rank lists, and trailer reactions. All my reviews include a breakdown of the pros and cons, my rating, and some tailored film recommendations, so be sure to watch through to the end of this video for all of that extra content. Deadpool stars Ryan Reynolds, Morena, Baccarin, and Skrein, and was directed by Tim Miller. It tells the origin story of the mutant anti-hero Deadpool and his vengeful mission against the man who experimented on him. Comic book movies have a long history of risk-taking. I know that might sound like a preposterous statement to make now during our ongoing superhero movie boom. I mean, we've had dozens and dozens of comic book movies over the last few decades, many of which criticized for decidedly not taking risks. Over the last 20 years or so, we've grown accustomed to comic book movies being a bit of a sure thing, a subgenre that's usually guaranteed to draw a crowd and be financially successful. But that wasn't always the case. Comic books were not mainstream popular things. They were definitely a niche hobby, and so the prospect of making a big-budget theatrical superhero movie was a fairly novel and very risky concept when Superman the movie was released in 1978. Since that time, we've had a few surges of comic book movie popularity, generally associated with a semi-risky move, mixing dark and campy, turning things gritty and serious. The advent of cinematic universes? Well, the creation of Deadpool was another example of this risk-taking trend. There had been plenty of R-rated comic book movies before Deadpool, but the number of comedic and fun films on that list was much smaller. Fans of the Deadpool character had been clamoring for a good film adaptation, and it had become a bit of a passion project for Ryan Reynolds, but the studio was unconvinced. That is, until the proof-of-concept test footage was mysteriously leaked online and became a hit with fans. So Fox took a chance and greenlit Deadpool, and that chance more than paid off. More so than even the average comic book movie, Deadpool is not a film for everyone. But, especially after the character's disastrously neutered appearance in X-Men Origins Wolverine, this movie was able to deliver on many of the things that fans actually wanted from the character. And in doing so, this movie succeeded in making a lot of new fans, too. Matching the style of its titular main character, this is a fun and extremely irreverent film. Similarly, Deadpool is a crass, crude, and ultra-violent 180 from the typical Marvel or X-Men comic book movie. Ryan Reynolds throws himself into the Merc with a mouth role with zeal, and rarely stops running that mouth. Not everything here is funny, frequently veering into sophomoric crudeness that'll appeal mostly to snickering teens, but the humor still works much more often than not. The meta fourth wall breaking referentiality the comic character is known for is used to great effect here, and makes for an entertaining film with higher rewatchability than you'd probably expect. Deadpool's also got a much simpler story than you'd probably expect as well, essentially boiling down to a bare-bones origin story revenge tale. With its constant references to other movies, this film makes plenty of jokes about the perceived sameness of many comic book movies, but then itself, ironically, has a plot that falls into many of the same tropes and pitfalls, just with more jokes and innuendos. It is an origin story, though, and as anybody who's been watching my reviews for a while now knows, that's a superhero plotline that I'm definitely a sucker for. This particular origin story is told non-linearly, intercutting Wade's backstory and Deadpool's origins with his revenge mission, in a way that keeps things interesting and plays into the fourth wall style well. That said, everything about the story feels a bit small scale, including its fairly dull and not particularly memorable villain. So the story itself isn't really anything all that special, but in this case, that ends up being alright, because really, it functions as a low-budget delivery vehicle for the character and his style. Speaking of low budget, although Deadpool isn't exactly hampered by budgetary constraints, the effects of its much smaller than average budget are definitely noticeable. Much of the action here is very fun. There are some creative, funny, and surprisingly violent fight sequences in this movie. The 12 bullet sequence is a highlight, but it's not exactly a great looking movie. Much of the visual effects budget seemingly went into creating the all CGI character Colossus and animating the facial expressions of Deadpool's mask. Those two things look fine, but this does end up leaving most of the CG created action backgrounds disappointingly and noticeably cheap looking. In fact, it often has more of a streaming limited series look to its VFX than a major studio movie look. But just like the simple story and the use of limited third-string X-Men characters, this is something that's easy to look past if the tone, style, and character work for you. And as much as I wish this had come out back when I was a teenager, because I know me and my friends would have adored it, it still works surprisingly well for me, even as an adult. Alright, let's talk about the pros and cons. Pro number one is the action. Some movies have amazing fight choreography and impressive stunts, while others just deliver their action in a really fun and enjoyable way. And Deadpool is one of the latter types of films. Most of the action here is heavily CG-aided, which doesn't always look the best, but man is it really entertaining. There are a number of creative action sequences here that all play to the strength of the Deadpool character, not just to his acrobatics and marksmanship, but also to his wisecracking irreverence. It gets playfully gory and violent at times, which is just kind of fun to see in a comic book movie. The second pro is the humor. I should preface this by saying that not all of the humor here works for me. Some of the one-liners and jokes are excessively juvenile, and there are more than a few running gags that are eye-rolling to me. But perhaps mostly due to the sheer number of jokes and references here, there's a lot of the comedy that does work. One-liners and dialogue exchanges, sight gags and funny situations, entertaining editing. It's not a non-stop laughs kind of movie for me, but it does get me to frequently crack a smile. On the con side, the biggest issue is the CGI. Like I did with the last Pro, I've got to preface this the opposite way by saying that not all of the VFX are bad here. Deadpool's animated mask expressions are okay, and Colossus, although fairly silly, is mostly well designed and well lit, something that was undoubtedly difficult with his reflective chrome exterior. But the other CG creations, namely backgrounds during action sequences and set extensions, are noticeably poor. This is, of course, mostly due to the repeated budget cuts during the film's production, and it doesn't ruin the movie or anything, but it does give it a cheap and small-scale feel, at least for a theatrically released major studio comic book movie. The second con has got to be the villain. This film has got an exceedingly simple story, so it makes sense that the villain is also pretty simple. But simple doesn't have to be dull. And there's just something so unmemorable about Ajax/Francis. He's smarmy and kind of occasionally menacing, and you'll want to see Deadpool beat the crap out of him, but the whole storyline with him just isn't all that interesting. Before I give you my rating and recommendations, I want to remind you that if you're interested in buying Deadpool, or any of the other films I mentioned today, I do have affiliate links for all of them in the description below. I get a small commission from anything you buy using one of my links, so I'd really appreciate it if you use them, if you're in the market for any of these movies. I'm gonna give Deadpool 4 out of 5 paws. The story is a bit lean and the budget limitations are noticeable, but this is a fun, super referential film with impressive action and an entertaining and committed lead performance. I would recommend Deadpool to people who want a fun superhero movie with a bit of edge. The juvenile humor and innuendos might not be everyone's style, but this is a good option if you feel like mixing things up from the usual superhero comic book movie fare. Existing fans of the Deadpool character will probably be pleased with Ryan Reynolds' rendition here, especially after the disaster that was the X-Men Origins Wolverine version of the character. If you like Deadpool, I would recommend Kick-Ass. Although it's neither DC nor mainline Marvel, this is another violent and extremely entertaining R-rated comic book movie. It's highly stylized, which is to be expected with Matthew Vaughn in the director's chair, and tells the story of everyday people who decide to become costumed vigilante superheroes. If you want another exceptionally fun and entertaining comic book movie, you'll want to check out Guardians of the Galaxy. It's got some of the expected MCU-isms, but it retains a style and identity of its own, presenting its story with a lot of humor, heart, and great music. And if you like the character of Deadpool and want some more of his irreverent style and humor, you should watch Deadpool too. It might not be the most out there recommendation, but there really aren't a lot of superheroes like him or comic book movies quite like his series. Alright, a couple questions for you guys. Number 1, have you seen Deadpool? If so, what'd you think of it? And number 2, what's your favorite movie with a fourth wall break? Be sure to leave your answers in the comments below so we can get a discussion going. Alright, so if you got some enjoyment, insight, or information out of this review, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button. And if you haven't done so already, please hit subscribe while you're at it to see more videos like this. Till next time, this has been Alyssa with Mainly Movies, the way life should be.